Good afternoon and welcome to Turbo Tortoise Tech. If you're new here, my name is Reese Full Piece from KFC or Wookie Triple XL, and in today's I'm about to get load shed in 3 hours review. I'm having a look at the Acer VGO 270 panel from Acer, and it's actually, yeah, it's good and stuff. In all seriousness, Acer's value right now is, well, that's pretty astronomically good, really. So I did the Acer XP3 series last week, which was our first review for the year with the 25 and 27, and those were rather good. The price versus performance was exceptionally high, and honestly this is really no different to that. The VGO, or the VG27O, or VGO 27 that this is under, is more of a budget line kind of monitor. It is half the price of the XP20, of the XP327 at least. But is it half the panel? Is the question, and really it's not. It is an IPS 27-inch monitor. It does have a 165 Hz refresh rate, which is quite nice to have. A little bit superfluous over 144, but faster is better. 1080p, as I said, and a 2 millisecond response time. It does also have FreeSync, which is quite a nice to have. The color gamut coverage is 72% of NTSC, and it's a 6-bit panel, so it's kind of average and standard for panels quality as far as colors, etc. goes. It does, however, have HDR10, or what they're calling HDR ready. Now, there's a lot of talk about this being a con, etc., and that it's just taking an HDR signal and then converting it to SD, and that's really not quite the truth of what's happening here. So the HDR mode does actually work, and it does actually make a difference. So I've got it in the standard plane right now with Mr. Lizard, and this is on the standard color profile. If you then up it or convert it to the HDR mode, which I'm going to do now, you'll notice that it does then pop out. And then you have it in HDR ready, HDR10 mode. It does make a significant difference to having that, and the HDR mode was better than anything I could come up with myself trying to do custom setups on the monitors. These have the exact same OSD that the XP3s do have as well, and pretty much the same sort of feature sets, minus obviously things like G-Sync and true HDR 400. All around though, the HDR, it actually does make a difference, and it's quite a nice touch to have, especially on a what some would call a more budget panel. It's a nice little add-on that boosts that color gamut and makes it just that bit a little bit better. HDR 400 is based on the fact that the screen can sustain a 400 nits or 400 candela meters squared lighting profile consistently per pixel. This is only on 250, and I wasn't actually at a loss for brightness. I turned it down a little bit, honestly, in the NVIDIA control panel, just to make the colors a bit richer and less washed out. Not that it does a bad job of washing them out because of the 250 nits. It's actually got quite a good control on that, and it took to digital vibrance and contrast really, really nicely. There was, however, a touch of IPS glow, as it was kind of eliminated by the HDR on the other panels. On this panel, I did get some of that glow factor, but it wasn't so bad that it completely ruined the experience. The physical setup is quite basic in of itself as well, although they have carried over some of the nice things from the XP3, that being dual HDMI 2.0 ports, a 1.4 display, and then a 3.5mm pass-through on the port side of things. Then they have also included 2 little speakers, which is kind of a nice to have. So if you're using this for like a console or something to that effect, which it would be ideal for, then you've got speakers on the go with you. So if you forget your headphones and you aren't able to use it off the pass-through, then that will suffice. They're on about a par with most laptop speakers, so don't expect it to be a JBL concert. As I said, they've also simplified the stand. I do wish the neck was just a little bit higher. I did actually end up propping it up on top of a toolbox, which I just sat underneath it, which then gave me that eye line. I like to sort of sit very up straight in front of the PC like that and not hunched over the monitor, which you would have to do. It does tilt considerably on the stand, which is obviously nice to have for some comfort, but I do wish that neck was just a little bit higher so that we could, you know, sit a bit more square on. Another feature that does actually work on these Acer panels is the ultra sharp mode, which is in now. And that removes a lot of that graininess and fuzziness that you get from 1080p panels. I've experienced it on the XB3 and I thought, this is probably a gimmick, let's try it out anyway, you know, while we're here, might as well check all the boxes. And this was a good box to check because the function actually works, and it is on this panel as well. The 1080p looks just that much better. It's kind of like having anti-aliasing but on a hardware level for free included with the panel. Can't say I'm mad at that. Overall then, you would expect this panel to probably cost about 6,000 Rand with these kind of specs, being a 27 165 Hz monitor as well. But Acer's selling this at the moment for 4,700 Rand. That's kind of the same price as most entry-level 24-inch 144s, which are TN panels, so they're not going to be as good for your eyes as the IPS, and with the HDR on the IPS you're going to get better colors as well, and then it's slightly faster, and then it's still got a 2 millisecond response time, and then there's the ultra sharp function. You can see where I'm kind of going with this. The overall value of these panels right now from Acer is exceptional. They've not only come back on like a premium sort of standpoint, but the value of this, even as an entry-level panel, there is not a better 27 at the money. There is just not a better 27-inch at the money. If you're looking at 5K or less, this is pretty much the best large panel you can buy right now. And it's kind of staggering that with everything that it does do. Like I said, I think if the stand could have a longer neck, that's about the only thing I would change on this at this kind of price point. I'd also maybe like 300 nits brightness, because you can't change that when you're on HDR mode. It maxes out your default brightness and then it then brightens up and dims based on the HDR's requirements. So I would say 300 nits would make it just a little bit better as well. But look at the price. Can you really complain? I submit that you cannot. Maybe a 3-year warranty. Even if the price point was pushed out another 10 or 15%, I think it would be worth it, because it would still be insanely competitive. And I hear you, South Africans. I know we love our 3-year warranty. Anyway, that's all we have time for in this review. If you have enjoyed it, please do hit us up with a like and subscribe, and I will see you on the flip side.